In this generic economic exchange, again, what can we control? Because it's important you practice this and think about it from this perspective, because it will change the nature of the things you think are important for you to do. Well, we can control which supplier we use if we're the customer. We can control the way we specify the goods or services. We can't control what they deliver to us, but we can control the way we explain to them what we want. And we can control if we accept or reject them based on our criteria, whether we've articulated those criteria to them or not. And we can control what we do if we don't get them. Actually, if you look at this basic economic exchange relationship here, there's loads of things where we can exercise control that will help us have more confidence that we're going to get what we want. Now let's look at the impacts that really matter the most. So if we are the customer, what are the most fundamental customer risk factors? Well, we can't find a supplier. Either no supplier can provide what the customer wants, or the selected supplier is not available or somehow able to provide the desired goods or services. You know, I want to go to the sale barn, wherever they sell cows, and I expect to get cupcakes. That's not the right place, not the right supplier. I picked the supplier, but they can't give me the goods or services that I want. Next one is good or service is not usable. Well, either the good or service is not delivered or accessible by the customer, it was sent to somebody else, or goods or services don't meet the requirements. Rejected 4F. No, I don't want this thing. The third is my customer objective isn't realized. So either the necessary goods and services weren't available, the good or service has malicious intent or side effects, or there were errors and omissions in the application or the consumption of the goods or services. So one way or another, the customer could not do their job that they were doing, or in doing their job, a bunch of other stuff maliciously happened because something was introduced into the mix that they weren't aware of. So it looked like they got their job done, but in fact, they did 6 other people's jobs at the same time, and those other people just happened to be bad guys. So really, this list of 3 fundamental risk factors is where we can focus, because this is what we can control. So it's a 180-degree shift in thinking, because it doesn't matter how it happens. It only matters what we do to prevent it from happening or respond when it happens. Because our prevention is what we actively do to prevent something happen. That's our activity. And our behavior is, well, okay, it's happened, so what are we going to do about it? And this is how we get from reactive to security to truly proactive security, because we start worrying about the things we can control instead of worrying about all the things we can't and just waiting for them to happen so that we're, like the fire department. We can't do that. Security is not an emergency response function. That's part of what it does, but that's not all it does. And if we want to shift that narrative, we got to shift our thinking. Once again, true security is achieved by designing for resilience, and we just need to figure out how to do that. We only need 2 things. We need our fundamental customer-supplier relationship, because that tells us about any interaction. Each one of those is a domain. Domains have rules, so we've got a lot of power in that simple model, but we've got a generic model that we can apply to any interaction we want to talk about. It doesn't matter if it's people or technology or the environment or anything, because the model still works, because this is just a formalized way to describe a system. And there are systems everywhere. So any system we want to describe, we can represent using combinations of this relationship. And then we need the rules of the box. And those rules come from a generalized model of the SAMHSA domain that I came up with. And there are 8 essential attributes required to create and maintain the domain boundary. So this is what it takes to create and maintain a system boundary. And there are a set of events that we need to be able to understand and manage, or decide that they're not worth understanding and managing, if we want to define what security is and understand what we are and are not able to control in relation to anything we want to manage. We just need these 2 things.